For Comedy Hype News, I'm Symphony Thompson. Chris Rock opens up his 2016 Oscars monologue by addressing the one issue that was on everyone's mind that night. In the speech, Rock asks,
"Is Hollywood racist? You're damn right Hollywood's racist, but it ain't the racist that you've grown accustomed to."
Arguably, the first film to grapple with that issue both honestly and humorously is Robert Townsend's 1987 satire, Hollywood Shuffle. Townsend, in the tradition of Bill Cosby, felt there was a fundamental imbalance not just in the way authentic blackness was portrayed in film, but a shortage of roles that gave voice to the entirety of the black experience. The film follows Townsend as Bobby Taylor, an aspiring actor trying to make it in Hollywood. Bobby is up for a role in a movie where he must talk jive with sayings like, "I ain't be got no weapon." Not only that, but the movie he's auditioning for is about street gangs, features pimps, prostitutes, and junkies. It lives up to every negative stereotype imaginable. Throughout the film, Bobby is faced with an internal struggle of whether or not the movie Jive Time's Jimmy's Revenge is detrimental to the idea of black identity.
Only an Uncle Tom would do this shit. They just looking for somebody to sell out. Sell out? The only role they gonna let us do is a slave, a butler, or some street hood or something.
When it comes time for the audition, hundreds of black actors have lined up. What's fascinating about how Hollywood Shuffle depicts the audition process is the fact that all of the producers who decide the performance is black enough are white. This has been a well-documented problem in the industry. A vignette entitled Black Actor School was made for Hollywood Shuffle. Townsend was inspired to write the Black Actor School vignette after getting a few auditions for some unfavorable roles. My agent would call and say, "Hey Robert, there's a slave role on North and South, a pimp on Hill Street Blues, a mugger on Cagney and Lacey. I figured they should have a school for this kind of stuff. So that's when we came up with the idea for Black Actor School. Students of Hollywood Shuffle will know Black Actor School was a play on the idea that so many of the actors who played degrading hoodlums are actually classically trained actors who go to Hollywood expecting to at least have the opportunity to audition for respectable lead roles, as well as poking fun at colorism in Hollywood."
You too can be a black street hood. But this class is for dark-skinned blacks only. Light-skinned or yellow blacks don't make good crooks.
Black representation in Hollywood has been criticized long before the arrival of Hollywood Shuffle. As the industry moved away from blackface and began to cast black actors in black roles, images of blacks in media were limited to servant-type roles. Hattie McDaniel as Mammy in Gone with the Wind and the character Buckwheat are good examples of Hollywood pigeonholing for black actors in the 20th century.
I don't know why we leaving Mouse's house. He been good to us. He feed us on Saturday, clothes us on Sunday, and then beat us on Monday.
A scholarly article called Race and Ideology, African American Images in Television Advertising touches on what media representation subconsciously says about the whites in power that cast these roles. Many researchers argue that media portrayals of minorities tend to reflect whites' attitude towards minorities, and therefore reveal more about whites themselves than about the varied and lived experiences of minorities. This causes a single perspective to dominate mainstream media, all from the point of view from white people. One of the most recent and notable films to cast black actors in the servant role is 2011's The Help. Viola Davis has gone on record saying that she regrets doing the film. In a 2020 interview, Davis elaborated, "There's no one who's not entertained by The Help, but there's a part of me that feels like I betrayed myself and my people, because I was in the movie that wasn't ready to tell the whole truth. The film was created in the filter and cesspool of systematic racism. They're invested in the idea of what it means to be black, but it's catering to the white audience. The white audience at the most can sit and get an academic lesson into how we are. Then they leave the movie theater and they talk about what it meant. They're not moved by who we are." When The Help was released in the summer of 2011, some critics had a problem with it falling into the white savior, white do-gooderism narratives. To some, they felt that the film should have focused more on the black voices as opposed to the white ones. The issue of focusing on white voices instead of black voices is prevalent not just in front of the camera, but behind it as well. A good example of this is Kenyon Bear's Black AF. A total of 9 writers, including Kenya, made the first season. Almost half of those writers are white. When productions have mostly white faces behind the scenes of a show that's supposed to be black, it feels like content that's about black, made for whites. When this happens, characters become caricatures and contribute to negative stereotypes, which is a criticism that Black AF is familiar with. And that's why we take our hats off to Atlanta for not only having an all-Black writing staff, but a writing staff that's also mostly made up of Atlanta natives, all of which who help contribute to its authenticity. In Hollywood Shuffle, Bobby Taylor ends up getting a call back for his audition, where producers are requesting an Eddie Murphy type. This is an old Hollywood formula where studios will request a great value version of a popular actor in order to save money. During the time of Hollywood Shuffle's release, Eddie Murphy was the most bankable star in Hollywood.
We want somebody who can act like Eddie Murphy from head to toe.
Just last year when Marlon Wayans appeared on Ellen, Tiffany Haddish asked him why she was never cast in any of the Wayans brothers movies. Tiffany said she even auditioned for the role that was described as a Tiffany Haddish type, and she still didn't get it. Now that Tiffany Haddish is one of the most profitable comedic actresses of today, it wouldn't be surprising if there are several casting calls asking for a Tiffany Haddish type out there. Eventually, Bobby does get the role he campaigned for. But on set, he hears rumors that the NAACP is going to boycott the film due to the negative images portrayed. Once again, the Satire of Hollywood Shuffle is commenting on something that happens in real life. The NAACP boycotted the series Amos and Andy because its demeaning portrays of Blacks. The NAACP's national office went so far as to publish a bulletin titled "Why the Amos and Andy TV Show Should Be Taken Off the Air." The bulletin claimed that the show taught white audiences that Blacks were inferior, dumb, lazy, spoke in malapropisms, and were ignorant. The boycott led to CBS canceling the series altogether by 1953. What's even more interesting is that towards the end of the film, Bobby quits the role due to his guilt over playing a stereotypical character. Once Bobby quits the film, another actor happily steps in to fill the role, commenting on the Hollywood idea that if one actor won't sell out for an opportunity, there's plenty more who will.
Get him out of here. Get him off the set. I'll have someone else do it.
I'll do it. You got it.
You ain't shit.
Townsend admits he's unsure if there would be a sequel to the Hollywood Shuffle. The film was really about how actors, Black actors in particular, were being pegged in a box, and now that box has been blown up in a lot of ways. What Townsend is saying is absolutely true. Yes, Black actors play less servant, pimp, and prostitute type roles today, but the box Townsend refers to hasn't disappeared. It's just evolved. Hollywood Shuffle brings it with resonance of a quote from Bell Hooks' 1992 collection of essays titled "Black Looks, Race, and Representation," in which she says, "For some time now, the critical challenge for Black folks has been to expand the discussion of race and representation beyond good and bad imagery." As previously mentioned, Townsend is a Cosbyite in that sense, but the cunning of Hollywood has adapted its imagery without shifting its pathos. If Townsend's Black acting school was remade today, students will learn to play Donald Glover or Issa Rae type, falling into the nerd or awkward Black girl stereotype. They'd be the nerdy best friends with glasses instead of pimps, crooks, and slaves. Of course, this is a much better alternative, but the issue of typecasting continues to rob audiences of realistic Black characters they can identify with. One can sense the character. This new breed of what Black nerds represent is an attempt to avoid social outrage and generate revenue rather than matters of aesthetic, artistic integrity, and taste. Although the methods of prejudice have transformed, Black talent is still the subject of prejudice nonetheless. Tragically, Hollywood Shuffle carries just as much relevance today as it did when it was first released in 1987. Although the methods of prejudice have transformed, Black talent is still the subject of prejudice nonetheless. Shows such as Atlanta and A Black Lady Sketch Show prove that Black talent are not obligated to accept what is forced upon them. Because like Bobby Taylor always says,
Remember, there's always work at the post office.
stay up to date with the latest news and comedy by subscribing here to our YouTube channel and follow Comedy Hype across all social media. For Comedy Hype News, I'm Symphony Thompson.